Parking lot as a man opens fire on two people leaving a restaurant.
KCAL's Joy Benedict explains how quick thinking from an off-duty deputy may have kept a tragic situation from getting worse.
Flowers and cards mark this sidewalk in Fontana. Some of those passing by thinking of the two people shot to death while leaving dinner Saturday night.
Very sad for the two individuals that lost their lives.
Investigators say Hector Garduno and Gloria Zamora ate at this sushi spot at Falcon Ridge Town Center, but when they were leaving just before 10 p.m., they were confronted by a man at their car.
They had been in that restaurant, had eaten, and came out to the vehicle. And outside in the vehicle is where the suspect approached the two of them and started shooting.
She was a devoted mother, a rising fitness influencer, and a woman whose story inspired thousands around the world. Gloria Zamora represented resilience, a living reminder that no matter how hard life hits, you can always rise again. But behind those bright smiles, behind the perfectly framed posts, Gloria was living a reality few could imagine. A reality where the line between love and danger had blurred. A reality that one June night in Fontana, California, would erupt in tragedy. This is not just the story of a crime. It's the story of a woman's fight to break free, and the darkness that followed her every step. What happens when the person who once promised to love you decides that if they can't have you, no one will? Welcome to City Crime Channel, where we uncover the real stories behind the headlines. Here, we don't just tell you what happened, we take you inside the moments, the decisions, and the lives forever changed. If you love deep true crime storytelling, real cases, and cinematic breakdowns that make you feel the story, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Gloria Zamora's murder shocked a community. It was calculated, personal, and devastating. Her life, and her death, hold lessons that every one of us should hear. So, what really happened to Gloria Zamora? How did a successful woman's fight for independence turn into a fatal ambush in a quiet California parking lot? Let's find out. Before the headlines, before the tragedy that would grip an entire community, there was Gloria Zamora. A woman whose journey was raw, inspiring, and above all, real. Gloria wasn't a celebrity. She wasn't born into privilege or power. She was a woman trying to make sense of chaos, and somehow she made it look like art. A mother of 7, yes, 7, each child a reflection of her resilience. She never sugar-coated the madness that came with it. The sleepless nights, the endless laundry, the moments of doubt when she'd ask herself, "Am I doing enough?" But she didn't let that chaos define her. If anything, it became her fire. Gloria built her life around empowering women, especially mothers, to reclaim their health, their identity, and their strength. Through fitness, through mindset, through sheer, unrelenting grit. She became a voice for those who felt unseen, unheard, and undervalued, the everyday women who had forgotten how powerful they really were. Her podcast wasn't polished or corporate. There was no perfect backdrop or curated script. It was real talk, the kind that hits you in the gut. She spoke about exhaustion, self-doubt, the loneliness that comes from giving everything to everyone else and leaving nothing for yourself. And that honesty, it resonated.
Because my day as a kid growing up in that household was going to school and you come home and you do your chores.
Right.
It wasn't homework. It was you're coming home, you're cleaning, you're washing the dishes, you're cleaning your brother's room, you're washing their clothes, you're folding it, you're putting it away. And if there's time for homework, then you can do it.
Right.
But it was, you're coming home to do chores.
Now, was that just because you were the woman in the household, or everybody was doing that?
No, because I was the only girl. My brothers were not allowed to wash a dish. They were not allowed to wash their clothes. They were not allowed to do anything that had to do with a woman's job.
I feel like that's typical Mexican culture, right? Where like the women are brought up to cater to the men.
It made people feel seen. Gloria wasn't just sharing workouts. She was sparking a movement. In a digital world obsessed with filters and perfection, she stood out for being painfully, beautifully real. That authenticity didn't just attract followers, it created believers. Mamas, I know what it's like to feel stuck. But let me tell you something, strength doesn't come from things going right. It comes from what you do when everything's going wrong. Those words, spoken with conviction, would soon take on a haunting meaning. Because behind the bright smile and the motivational quotes, the story was changing. Gloria was married to Thomas Alberto Tamayo Lizarraga. To outsiders, they looked like the dream, a family anchored by faith, fitness, and love. 7 kids. Shared dreams. Matching gym shirts. But what looked picture perfect from afar was cracking beneath the surface. As Gloria's voice grew louder online, Thomas's resentment deepened. Her success, the very thing she had fought for, became a source of tension. What should have been shared celebration turned into jealousy, control, and silent rage. He began to question everything: her decisions, her schedule, her independence. What started as concern became surveillance. What started as love became control. Friends would later recall how Thomas's behavior shifted. He monitored her social media. He demanded explanations for where she went. He grew angry when she stayed late at the gym or posted something he didn't approve of. The man who once cheered her on became the gatekeeper of her every move. Sometimes, Gloria would hint at the storm behind her smile.
Instead of you being supportive, you're over here trying to like just bring me down, tell me that I can't do this. You think you're all that? You think you're all that for you to go and work out and think that you can be on social media? Like, come on, man. Like, you're not even all that. Dang. Like, look, you have all these stretch marks. Like, dang. Really? Do you really think you're all that you can do that?
His insecurities are yelling to you.
Yes.
His projection is real.
Yes.
He's trying to bring you down so you don't leave.
Yes.
But what he doesn't understand is that you're pushing me more away. Oh. You're making me secure in my decision of leaving.
Online, Gloria was thriving. Her page glowed with energy, daily posts, motivational reels, and stories filled with laughter and love. She was hosting fitness challenges, celebrating other women's wins, and becoming the voice of a growing sisterhood. Her platform was exploding. But away from the glow of her phone screen, something darker was unfolding. The home that looked warm and joyful from the outside was becoming a cage. And the woman who had helped thousands find their strength was slowly losing her own. Gloria was juggling motherhood, business, and a marriage that was suffocating her spirit. And still she showed up. Every day. For her kids. For her clients. For her audience. For everyone except herself. Have you ever looked at someone's life online and thought, they have it all together? Only to realize later, they were silently breaking inside? That was Gloria. Behind closed doors, her light, the same one that inspired thousands, was being dimmed by the very person who promised to protect it. And as her influence grew, so did the shadow that followed her. Because what was coming next would change everything. 4 years, Gloria had carried the weight of 2 worlds, the strong, unstoppable woman online, and the woman trapped in an increasingly suffocating marriage behind closed doors. But by early 2024, something inside her shifted. She wasn't just dreaming about independence anymore. She was preparing for it. Gloria had decided to divorce Thomas. After years of manipulation, control, and fear, she was ready to reclaim her life. And she wasn't alone. Her friends in the fitness community rallied behind her. These were women who had trained with her, cried with her, celebrated milestones with her. They had watched her grow, and they wanted to see her free. For Gloria, this wasn't just a legal decision. It was a spiritual one. A statement that her life belonged to her, not to fear. In this next chapter of her life, Gloria found both friendship and professional partnership in Hector Garduno, a respected member of the fitness community. Hector was known for his charisma and kindness, a father of 4 daughters, a motivator in his own right, and someone who believed in Gloria's vision. Together they began planning something big: a women's fitness center, a safe space for mothers to train, grow, and build community. This wasn't just business. For Gloria, it was a lifeline, a new beginning, one built on strength and independence. But independence was the one thing Thomas couldn't accept. As Gloria's plans for freedom took shape, Thomas's behavior grew darker. He became more obsessive, possessive. His need for control, which had already strained their marriage, began to consume him. Police would later believe that Thomas began tracking Gloria's movements in the weeks before her murder. He followed her online, monitoring where she went, who she was with, and what she was planning. It wasn't just curiosity. Investigators discovered signs of deliberate planning. A man calculating, preparing, watching. He was determined not to be left behind, even if it meant crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. In the days leading up to the attack, Thomas's obsession reached a boiling point. Every movement Gloria made, he followed. Every step she took toward her new life, he interpreted as a threat to his control. The closer Gloria came to her independence, the more dangerous Thomas became. And on June 1st, their separate paths would collide in the most tragic way imaginable. It's here, in this quiet, fragile space between hope and danger, that everything began to unravel. Gloria was stepping into a new life. Thomas was spiraling into obsession. One was building a future. The other was preparing to destroy it. How far do you think someone will go when their need for control is threatened? Where is the line between desperation and deliberate cruelty? The stage was set. Gloria had chosen freedom. Thomas had chosen control. And in just a few days, those choices would collide with deadly consequences. June 1st, 2024. Fontana, California. A quiet Friday night. The kind of night where families gather for dinner, friends meet to unwind, and no one expects the darkness hiding in plain sight. Around 9:40 p.m., Gloria Zamora and her business partner, Hector Garduno, sat together inside this sushi restaurant. They weren't here for a date. They were here for a plan. A new life. A gym for women. A future that Gloria had fought hard to imagine. They spoke about branding, equipment, layout, how they wanted the gym to feel like a sanctuary. For Gloria, this dinner wasn't just a meeting, it was the start of something real. But outside, someone was watching. Thomas Alberto Tamayo Lizarraga had arrived. He wasn't here by accident. According to police, he had been following Gloria's movements closely in the days leading up to June 1st. He rented a car to avoid being recognized. He surveyed the area. He waited. For over an hour, Thomas remained outside watching, waiting for the right moment. His behavior that night, investigators later concluded, was not impulsive. It was calculated. Inside, Gloria and Hector finish their dinner. She checks her phone. He folds the papers. They laugh quietly as they stand. Around 9:40 p.m., Gloria and Hector wrapped up their dinner. The night was calm. Their conversation was filled with dreams, not danger. They had no idea what awaited them outside those doors. And then, Thomas made his move. In a sudden, calculated ambush, Thomas opened fire. Hector was hit first. Gloria tried to flee, but Thomas chased her down. Multiple shots rang out in the quiet Fontana night. Within moments, the future they were planning was shattered. By a tragic twist of fate, an off-duty San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy was in the area. He heard the gunfire. He didn't hesitate. The deputy rushed toward the scene, confronting Thomas in the parking lot. A brief exchange followed, gunfire between the two men in the darkness. Backup units arrived within minutes. But by then, the damage had already been done. Gloria Zamora and Hector Garduno were both pronounced dead at the scene. What began as a business dinner, a meeting filled with plans for hope and independence, ended in unimaginable tragedy. 2 lives were lost. 11 children were left without parents. And a community that had once drawn strength from Gloria was now shattered by violence. In less than 5 minutes, everything changed. How does a quiet, ordinary night turn into a tragedy that shakes an entire community? Could anyone have seen this coming? By the early hours of June 2nd, Fontana Police and San Bernardino County Sheriff's investigators had cordoned off the scene. The bodies had been removed. The parking lot was quiet again. But beneath that silence, the evidence was beginning to speak. Detectives quickly uncovered a chilling level of premeditation. Thomas Alberto Tamayo Lizarraga wasn't acting on impulse that night. What investigators found painted the picture of a man who had been planning his attack. They discovered that Thomas had rented a car days before the murder, a deliberate attempt to conceal his movements. The rental car's GPS data placed him near the sushi restaurant long before Gloria and Hector arrived. On his phone, investigators found search history and location tracking that traced Gloria's every move. He had been monitoring her social media, using tagged locations to track where she'd be, including that sushi restaurant. Investigators also uncovered angry text messages and notes reflecting Thomas's growing resentment, a man unable to accept Gloria's decision to build a new life. He was estranged. He was angry. And he was determined to control how her story ended. This wasn't a man caught in a moment of rage. This was a man who had made a choice. Every breadcrumb, the car, the phone, the searches, told a single story. This was planned. As the investigation unfolded, news of Gloria's death spread quickly through the fitness community. Friends, clients, and followers, people who had drawn strength from her, were left in disbelief. She was the strongest person I knew. I just talked to her about the gym last week. She was so excited. I keep checking her page, like maybe she's going to post again. But she won't. For many, Gloria wasn't just a fitness influencer. She was a mentor, a friend, a beacon. And her sudden, violent death felt personal, like losing a sister they had grown with, even if only through a screen. Her community mourned not just the loss of a woman, but the loss of a voice that had helped so many find their own. What we see in Gloria's case is tragically common. The most dangerous time for a victim of domestic abuse is when they decide to leave. That's when the abuser feels their control slipping away, and that's when they're most likely to escalate. We often think of domestic violence as something that happens behind closed doors, bruises, yelling, threats. But in modern times, control can extend into the digital world. Abusers use social media, GPS tracking, and surveillance to follow their victims. Gloria's story is heartbreakingly a textbook example of this. 1 in 4 women experience severe intimate partner violence in their lifetime. 3 out of 4 domestic violence-related homicides occur after the victim has left the relationship. Digital surveillance is used in over 70% of stalking cases involving intimate partners. Thomas's actions followed a familiar but deadly pattern. His need for control intensified as Gloria pulled away. And when he felt that control was gone, he turned to violence. For investigators, the case quickly became clear. There would be no trial. Thomas was killed during the confrontation. But the evidence left no doubt. This was a deliberate act of control, jealousy, and rage. For Gloria's loved ones, the investigation offered answers, but no comfort. The pieces fit together, but they didn't bring her back. Gloria's story wasn't just another headline. It became a mirror, reflecting the silent suffering of countless others who live under the watchful eyes of abusers every day. How many stories like Gloria's are happening right now? Unnoticed, unreported, hidden behind perfect Instagram posts. And how many could be stopped if we learned to see the signs? In the days after the tragedy, the shock rippled outward, from the sushi restaurant parking lot to homes, gyms, and communities across the country. The news had broken. The investigation was underway. But for those who loved Gloria and Hector, life would never return to what it once was. Gloria left behind 7 children. 7 young lives who would now have to grow up without their mother's laughter, her guidance, her fierce love. Hector's 4 daughters were left without their father, a man who had supported Gloria's vision and believed in her dream. In the aftermath, Gloria's eldest daughter stepped into the unimaginable role of both grieving child and family anchor. She created a GoFundMe to support her siblings' funeral costs and their future. Strangers, followers, and friends responded in overwhelming numbers, their donations a reflection of how many lives Gloria had touched. What began as a personal tragedy became a collective heartbreak. People who had never met Gloria felt like they had lost someone close. And in a way, they had. The fitness community that Gloria had built, both online and in person, came together in grief and in strength. Candlelight vigils were held. Her followers shared stories, memories, and the way she had changed their lives. She made me believe I could do anything. Her podcast got me through postpartum depression. I never met her in person, but she made me feel seen. Tributes poured in across social media. People posted their last conversations with her, shared screenshots of her motivational messages, and pledged to continue their fitness journeys in her honor. Gloria's influence didn't end with her death. If anything, it echoed louder. You're stronger than you think. Even on your worst day, you have power. Don't forget that. Though Gloria's voice was silenced, her story continues to echo, warning, teaching, inspiring. Her life is a lesson in strength. Her death, a chilling reminder of how dangerous leaving an abuser can be. But her legacy, that belongs to her community now. Montage, her children walking together at a vigil, women training in her honor, social media posts from around the world, her quotes superimposed over shots of gym walls. She inspired women to rise. And now, even in her absence, that message continues. Her story isn't just about tragedy. It's about impact. A ripple that cannot be undone. How do we honor someone whose light was stolen too soon? By remembering their story, or by making sure others like them get to live theirs? Gloria Zamora's murder isn't just a tragic story, it's a reminder. A reminder that behind bright smiles and brave faces, some battles are invisible, until it's too late. The most dangerous time for victims of domestic violence is when they decide to leave. That moment of courage is often the moment when abusers become most desperate to reclaim control. Gloria's life was about empowerment and resilience. Her death is a call for vigilance and support, for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for those whose stories are still unfolding silently. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, help is available. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233 or visit thehotline.org. If you're outside the U.S., look up local resources, because reaching out can save a life. If Gloria's story moved you, inspired you, or opened your eyes, share this video with a friend. You never know who might be silently living a story like hers, and who might find the courage to seek help because of it. And if you want more true crime stories that uncover the truth, honor the victims, and shine light in the dark, subscribe to City Crime Channel and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a case. Her story is more than tragedy. It's a legacy, a warning, a spark. Could sharing stories like Gloria's be the key to saving someone else's life? Let me know your view in the comments section.